We've started all of these the same way with a really hard question about how you fell in love with soccer.
Oh, I think when I was probably, 11 years old, it for me was a place that you can have friends and good camaraderie and compete at the same time, and I think those relationships was why I fell in love with it. There wasn't one specific moment or anything like that. It was more just the ability to be around good people and compete, and I was pretty fast, so that helped with regard to the sport.
When did you realize that soccer was going to be more than just something you did, recreationally, or even just high school, or even just,
I think for me it was probably when I was 16 years old, and I was competing in high school at the time, and we had won a state championship in Arizona, and then I started getting picked for the national team to represent the country, and at that moment I remember telling my family that this is something I wanted to do with the rest of my life, and chips fell the right way for me. I had a lot of good people around me. I think that's a big piece of it. In order for kids to get to where they want to go, you have to have good people around you, and so probably around that age.
Mm-hmm. So as your soccer career has grown and you've moved and things like that, where all have you played or coached that brought you here to LouCity?
Oh man. 2000, let's see, Houston. I was in Houston in Major League Soccer, went to Philadelphia, went to DC United, went to Norway, San Francisco, Salt Lake. It's a long list for me. I got drafted when I was 19 years old. I played for 8 or 9 years, so I moved quite a bit. And then I got to Louisville from Utah, and quite a change, that's for sure, with regard to the environment and things like that. But I've grown to love this place. Me and my family have been here. My son was born here, and it certainly feels like home now, which is not easy to say in this profession. Like I said, I've moved around quite a bit, but here's home now. So
you are very much a part of the youth program through where you are now, right?
Yeah, I think as a club, we work holistically in it. I work really closely with our academy directors and Mario and Luke. So it's, I tell people all the time, when I leave at 5:00 p.m. and I leave my office and I see 150 kids out there, I think it's really special, what the ownership group has done for the community, the investment that we've put into the community, and then to see these kids, when you're leaving work and the field's packed, I think it's a testament to what we're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm. How does it feel to have seen this program through so much? I mean, you were with the program when they were playing at Slugger Field. I mean, how does it feel now? Is it almost surreal?
Yeah, it's certainly surreal. I think that the vision from John Neese and our board is coming to fruition for sure. I think when you look at the support that we had at Slugger and that we have at Lynn Family Stadium, and then obviously this facility that we're sitting in now, it's pretty amazing. And I've played at some big clubs in this country, and this one, with regard to facilities and belief and investment, is right up there with the top. So it's certainly surreal to see, but I will say I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, at how the community is bought in. I'm not surprised at the investment that our ownership group continues to put into this club and the community. And I think, as I've said, when you look at how many kids are out there on any given night, it's pretty amazing. It really is.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel like the city of Louisville is doing as far as being supportive, and as far as maybe upping that support, or maybe just getting more people in the city to know about? I just feel like I have so many friends that live here that are like, oh, we have a pro soccer team.
Yeah, I think that's the the biggest question, isn't it? I think for me, people that come to experience a game, they want to come back, right? And it's getting people to come to their first one and then being hooked. And then the game has to go well, meaning it's got to be entertaining, right? Things like that. I think with regard to the, we have good support in the media here. I think it can always, you're always looking for more, right? I think that's helpful. The more that people see the logo and hear people talking about it and watch the games and the game being on in bars and just things like that. But, the one thing I do know is that the fans that we've continued to have, and it makes for a really special environment. I know you've been to some games, both I think racing and LouCity. It's special and it's a lot of fun, and it's entertaining. I'm someone that, I look around and I see the fans being going crazy and having a beer, and it's, for me, I'm going to go to the racing game with my wife and my son, not because I have to, but because I enjoy it, and I think the more that people get to experience it, I think you'll get more of what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Where do you see LouCity in the future? I mean, MLS is expanding left and right. Do you think that LouCity could be?
I think that, I think that's probably not a question for me, and that, that's up to the board and the owners on what they feel is best for the club. But the one thing that I will say is, I said it already, we have the infrastructure that those clubs do, in Major League Soccer, and we are continuing to try to make sure that we do a good job in the community, that we provide opportunity. And you see, young kids that 4 years ago or 3 years ago were training in our academy with some of our coaches that are now wearing a Louisville City jersey in front of their friends, in front of their family, people from high school. Josh Winder's a good example, and I think that's amazing. I think it's really special. And when you talk about what we're trying to do as a club, we're trying to win trophies. We're trying to develop good people, good young kids. And we're trying to grow within the community. And I think when you look at those things, for me, I think it's fair to say that we're continuing to check those boxes.
What do you think has made LouCity so successful as a team? I mean, they've had a phenomenal record every year that they've been around. That's not something that comes easy. What has made the team so successful? Yeah,
I think it's culture. And what I mean by that is not just the players in the locker room, the staff, but from the top all the way down, right? And I think, when you look at historically how this club has gone, as you've said, there's a lot of wins there and trophies. And it's because, you have such a strong culture, in the front office or the back office, from the owner, to the back office, and then all the way down to the players and the staff. And I think we all have one goal. We want to win, and we want to win everywhere, not just on the field, but in the stands. And when everybody has the same goal and the same work ethic and values, accountability, I think it leads to wins. And I really believe that we are a club that is holistic. We are a club that everybody has the same values. I think that's really important when you talk about success.
If you ran into someone at Kroger and they told you they'd never been to a game before, how would you convince them to come to one?
I'd say similar to so here's an example for you. I moved to a new neighborhood and nobody in my neighborhood had been to a game. And that next game, I brought, I think, maybe 10 to 15 people out, and they've been back every game since.
Really?
And I think that's what I mean about some people don't know what they don't know, but once they experience it, you're hooked. And they don't do it because I'm their neighbor. They genuinely enjoy it. Their kids are coming out. There's a lot to do, right? As a parent, you can have a beer if you like to drink. There's a playground. There's so many different things. There's space. And then there's an entertaining game going on, So I think if I was in that situation at a Kroger, I would try to explain to them how good of a time is and to come check it out. And I would make sure that I got them tickets, and hopefully you end up seeing a fan for life. That's the idea,
Where do you see yourself? Where do you see the program? And where do you see Louisville as a soccer city in 5 years? So 3-part question.
5 years. So as you already alluded to, in this profession, who knows where I'll be in 5 years? I don't know, but I will say for the club, hopefully in 5 years you've seen a lot of trophies. I see Lynn Family Stadium being sold out more often than not. And I see more young academy kids coming through our club and playing with the first team in front of friends and family. And I think more growth. I think we have done an excellent job, as I've said, as a club. But just continuing to grow, continuing to see Lynn Family sold out, and more trophies.